So can I go back to this J&J question? Because when I had a conversation with your previous CEO, they talked about this cradle, the J&J cradle, which is, I don't even really know how you would describe it, but is it like a Jerry Maguire type of document of purpose that you revisit periodically?
I guess with the Credo, it's funny. It really is something that we live by. When you come in the front entrance of J&J, you'll see our Credo hung on our wall. And it really it goes back, from when the two Johnson Johnson brothers started out the company. Is our first and foremost priority is the patients and the healthcare providers. So when we make decisions, we go down that path. And now that's the Johnson Johnson Credo. But what happens is all the different franchises, like Mentor, for instance, we follow the Credo, right? We follow how we treat employees and how we treat our surgeons and how we treat our patients. So, it's the guiding light a bit, but it really is. It really has held true, and it really even hasn't changed with everything in the world changing. Our Credo has just been a really nice baseline for who we are and what we represent.
So, is that something that internally you have to periodically revisit with your staff and you emphasize? And how do you do that? Is that just through retreats, or is it on a day-to-day basis? Every decision has some kind of relevance to that Credo.
So for both, for sure. So a lot of, it's very rare we'd sit and say, well, what would the Credo say? But we do do Credo surveys around the world. And we measure the results to say, are we living by what we say, by the different paragraphs that we break it down? And we get, every single person that's employed by J&J will respond to it. And then at the end, what we do is we do a presentation to each country. How were our Credo results? Where can we do better? And if we can do better, we set goals and objectives to say, maybe we need to do more here on the innovation pillar, or maybe we need to do more here. So we get really a group's perspective. So for us, it would be our voice of customer almost.
Yeah. I just think it's really fascinating, because there is a strong relationship between the surgeons and end users and physicians and companies. There in any area of medicine there is, but in plastic surgery and aesthetics, I think I would probably go out on a limb and say that that's a stronger relationship than almost any other subspecialty of medicine, because there is this element of there is a very strong relationship where we as the physicians are actually working closely with our industry partners to develop new products, to look at new techniques, and to evaluate products that are out there. And in a lot of areas of plastic surgery, we do lean on industry to provide more data than perhaps other areas of medicine. So it's a unique subspecialty of medicine where our relationship with industry is I think tighter than other areas of medicine. Would you agree? You've been in gynecology and women's health. Did you get that sense?
Completely agree, because of the weight of the private sector with us as well. So, with the hospital setting, for sure, things get tendered out, decisions get made with the whole RFP process, which you're familiar with. In the private sector, we are way more engaged with the surgeons, because it is your decision for your clinic what product you want to use. So there are things that you're going to consider that, you and I need to have conversations of what's important to you, right? Customer service, the customer experience piece, the product, the price. So all of that is you making your decisions for your clinic and your patients, that I can work with you on that, right? Sometimes the hospital is maybe a bigger animal that it's harder. It's, once that tender goes out, once they pick that customer, away they go. Where with you and I, we can say, hey, this year, I'm not going to do as many breast implants. I'm going to do more body. So, what do you have in your body portfolio that you can quote me on? So it's definitely a bit more personal. And I think it's a bit more individualized for sure.
It really is. And I guess where I was leading with this is that I was surprised starting these podcasts and talking to executives. I was pleasantly surprised, but I have to say I didn't really see it coming that so many executives of companies that I really respect, and by to be honest, I'm only interviewing companies that I respect. So many executives, when we talk about culture, they really talk about these values and virtues that they kind of hammer home in their corporate culture. And it was really great to hear. And as an end kind of user and as kind of an outsider looking at these companies that I inherently like and I respect and I kind of have good relationships with the reps, it's nice to hear, and it almost makes sense that they do have these values. And they're almost like, I kind of jokingly, to my own residents, I call them the Sunday school virtues. They're kind of the virtues and values that you'd kind of teach your kids. You don't necessarily like being truthful, honest, looking out for others, having kind of compassion, and these virtues that are really important, and being a decent human being that you don't necessarily, I guess I would never have thought that those would be qualities that would be kind of hammered home in a corporate setting, but they seem to be in a lot of the good companies.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's so much so that sometimes, because we're so strong with all of these qualities that we want to embrace, we might swing too far one way because we spend so much time, on our community involvement, our, the kindness factors, some of our diversity and inclusion initiatives that we do. We just want to have the best people educated and working in the company to really create that corporate culture. And they've done a great job, because we talked about the Credo and how we test it to make sure it's doing what it should be doing. But there are other things that we look at just to make sure that corporate culture is created in terms of workplace satisfaction and constantly looking at feedback from all different divisions. And we're under the medical device umbrella, but it also applies to our consumer partners and our pharmaceutical partners, that we're really trying to create this environment where people love to come to work.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows. I mean, to be honest, it shows. Like from my perspective, you certainly can see that in your dealing, or like my dealings with companies and their employees, as to who really truly has like vested interests and kind of a bond with their